Detroit Den 313, welcome back. Steve here. I got another good episode for you. Before I get into some Detroit Lions football talk, this is your go-to channel for Detroit Lions content. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. I was doing some thinking today. I know it's a dangerous thing to do for me. Sometimes my thoughts get me in big, big trouble. But I saw something on Twitter, and it kind of sparked a question, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about how the Detroit Lions have one of the most complete rosters in the NFL, Super Bowl worthy, and I agree. I agree. First and foremost, disclaimer, this episode is not any type of, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to spark a conversation, get you guys thinking, have a little dialogue. So feel free to leave some comments on whatever I say. Call me an idiot. If you don't like something I say, that's fine too. But I was just thinking, the Detroit Lions, if you take our roster and you put it up against any team in the NFL on paper, it is going to stand out with the big dogs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Chiefs, the Ravens, like Detroit Lions. Like those are the teams that are in the conversation. I hate to say it, maybe even the Cowboys too. I love our team. I love our roster. This is not an episode to be negative. Like I said, let's just do a little thinking. Do we have any weaknesses on this team? We do. We do have a very, very, very minimal amount of weakness on this team. And when I say weakness, I'm mainly talking about depth. I'm mainly talking like if someone goes down, what's going to happen? My biggest concern is that offensive line. We live and die by our offensive line. Starters, our starters are set, guys. I've said it before. Our 5 starters, you could see them. If we're not playing in the Super Bowl, you'll see all 5 of our starters at the Pro Bowl. I'm talking Graham Glasgow, Penei Sewell, the best in the league, Frank Ragnow, Zeitler, Taylor Decker. Like those are the 5. I have zero concerns about our starting 5 offensive line. They're the big dogs up front. They go as this team goes. Our whole offense runs through our offensive line because we want to establish the run. But if someone goes down, who are we bringing in? Giovanni Manu's not ready, guys. We talked about him the other day. He's not ready. We don't want to see him this year. Christian Mahogany, maybe. Colby Swordsdahl, I've read some good stuff on him. I've seen a lot of reports that says that he's taken a step forward. He's understanding the playbook better. A year as a pro, he had to get a little slice of that humble pie. But that just kind of happens in the NFL when you're going up in competition from William and Mary to the NFL. There's a welcoming party involved there. Coyote Awasika, who I think played very well in the playoffs, and when we had put him in there in the starting offensive line, wasn't a liability. It was just a guy who kind of showed up. But I don't want to be living and dying by that. I have question marks about all of those guys. Christian Mahogany, he's someone I'm going to be watching the most come training camp. I want to see how his reps look. I think he'll get plenty of time in training camp in the preseason games. I think he'll be paired up with Hendon Hooker in the second team offensive line, which is what I want to see all 3 games. I don't want to see starters playing preseason games. It's meaningless. Let them get their reps in like those controlled practices, joint practices. Let's keep our offensive line healthy. Let's not do anything stupid. I cannot hammer this enough because I can already foresee some comments. This is not an episode to be negative, guys. I'm just thinking, love our roster, but I have some questions. My next question is wide receiver. Our wide receiver room. If something were to happen to Amon-Ra St. Brown and he tweaks a hamstring or, hurts his calf and he has to miss a couple games, Jameson Williams has such a small sample size, not enough workload the last 2 years he's been here, whether it's been the suspension or the injury in the first year, or even when he's played. When he gets the ball, we know what he can do. It's electric. It's fun. It's exciting. He doesn't get the ball enough. Is he able to carry a workload if Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down? No, I don't want to bet on that. Same thing with Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had some good flashes when he was with the Browns. He had some good games, a good season. Haven't really seen him too much with the Detroit Lions and what he can do, but I'm also just not willing to bet on that. So I think in the passing game, we're going to be relying heavily on Sam Laporta, maybe Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more in the passing game. So we have some questions there. We have some, I like Isaiah Williams. I like the undrafted free agent, but is he going to make the team? I don't know. I think he's going to have the best shot because they heavily invested into him to bring him in on an undrafted free agent contract. They signed him for like $250,000 to get him here. I'll be keeping a close eye on him. But if something were to happen to Amon-Ra and we become a run-heavy team, it kind of changes the game. We need some other receivers to step up. So I think that's a little bit of a weakness. And I don't like living in this world where I have to picture everything like going wrong, or I definitely don't want players to get hurt. I don't cheer for other teams' players to get hurt, but I'm just kind of trying to get it out there for you guys. I love our roster. we're stacked, but there's some questions. If you guys think that there's no questions, then I don't know what to tell you. Like I don't think we have any glaring question marks. The last thing that I could kind of see, and on paper I like it, but it's our secondary. Our secondary is just so young, hasn't played together. Carlton Davis, brand new. Ennis Rakestraw, brand new. Terrion Arnold, brand new. Like Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Iffy Melifonwu, those are the guys that, we heard last year, but Brian Branch was a rookie. Kirby Joseph is the veteran back there, I guess. Iffy Melifonwu kind of came on late in the second half. So these guys haven't really played a whole lot of football together. And then we sprinkle in these brand new corners. Amik Robertson's the names I forgot. Like these guys have to mesh. They have to have some chemistry. On paper, we are loaded. I love our secondary. If I were to just sit here and look at the names, I'd be like, yep, we're good. But two things about the secondary. Very, very, very minimal playing time as a whole. A lot of new faces, some rookies. I'm not scared. I'm not worried. I like what we can do. I like how we can shuffle some guys around. I actually saw something on Twitter yesterday that Ennis Rakestraw has been taking some reps at nickel. I found that a little interesting because I want Brian Branch to play safety more. I want him to be on the field every single snap. I think if we can get him out of that nickel position and into safety where if he can be just as effective as he was as a nickel corner, our team is going to be a problem. So if someone else can step up and play that nickel, it opens up a lot for our defense. I think that's going to be the main thing with this concern is Brian Branch. If he has to play nickel, if Amik Robertson and Ennis Rakestraw are struggling and we have to throw Brian Branch back to that nickel, I think we still have some good options, guys. I'm just a little thinking, these guys haven't played a lot of football together. That's all I'm really thinking. I know we're going to be okay. I know we're going to be a solid defense as a whole. Just brought up some concerns. That's all. No, nothing big. We can have a conversation about it. Most of us on YouTube here are adults. I know I'll get some comments and I can already see what's coming, but just let me know if there's anything out there that's concerning you about this 2024-25 season. Those are really the only three things I'm worried about. I love our depth at running back. Sione Vaki is running back 3. I guess I have some, obviously you don't ever want to lose your quarterback. You don't ever want to go down that road, but I think we have enough playmakers around where if Hendon Hooker had to come in for a game or two, we would be okay. And if our defense is standing on their head and they're as good as we think they're going to be, we're going to be okay in that scenario as well. So I'm not worried about that. Guys, like I said, this is not an episode to make anyone panic. Leave some comments. We can have a discussion. We can talk about it. We're adults here. If you think everything's just going to be smooth sailing and the NFL is going to be easy and no one's going to get banged up and, we're going to play all 17 games with every single starter and no one's ever going to miss any time. But I'd love to live in the world you live in. Please send me an invite so I can move there. So leave some comments down below. Hit that like button. Stick around. Subscribe. We'll be back later with another show.